Today, the whole world is about Google. Uh, if anybody wants to know about Imam Hussein, about Ashura, about the Shias, the first thing they will do is not go to the library anymore. They will do a Google search. I can challenge anybody listening to this today that if you go on Google Images and you put in the word Ashura, the first few pages of images that come through are of groups of people with blades shedding blood. We do not believe that that is what the message of Imam Hussein entails. In 2016, we started this initiative of which is called it's basically a global campaign that's called Hussein Saves Lives. The objective was threefold. One was to change the narrative of Hussein, of Karbala, of the Shias. The second one was obviously the issue about Azadari in action, which when you give blood in the name of Imam Hussein, it is now it's no more theoretical Azadari, it is truly Azadari in action. Because when you give 1 pint of blood, it saves up to 3 lives. So it's the impact of our community using this memory and this closeness that we have, this emotional connection we have with Imam Hussein to save lives is, I believe, one of the most beneficial things for humanity in today's time in the name of Imam Hussein. And the third issue is the tablighi aspect. We believe that when you do tabligh through words, it is not as effective because you have challenges. You will have people having their own mindset, their own ideology. But giving of blood is a very neutral exercise. There is no faith, there is no religion or creed in this world that will tell you that no, we do not share that blood giving is beneficial to humanity. If all our communities got together and pushed blood donation as much as possible, we would have droves of people from other communities joining us in this exercise, and in that way the message of Imam Hussein is spread very well. What we have done is we have set up a relationship with 2 organizations as we speak. The IHBDC, which is Imam Hussein Blood Donation Campaign, which is very active in the UK, and we're using their operational excellence in this area. They've been extremely successful in the UK and in Europe, and we are trying to replicate that work globally by giving them access to do this exercise in our global communities. And we've also been working with Who is Hussein, who everybody knows of. It's a worldwide brand, and we are also trying to have them as part of this global campaign so that when we all give blood in the name of Imam Hussein, wherever it be, whether it's individuals, whether it's Who is Hussein, whether it's IHBDC, whether it's our community, whoever it may be, if we do it under one global campaign of Hussein Saves Lives, all of a sudden we are now changing the narrative.
The strategic paper concerning social vices, and in particular focusing on young people, is one that's really close to my heart. What's clear is that for anyone around the world who engages in any sort of way with young people, they'll know that there are certain issues and certain challenges that face our young people. We've classified it under several main headings: alcohol and drug abuse, the sexualization of young people, mental health, bullying and harassment, and other sort of disorders, miscellaneous disorders such as sort of body conditions and self-image and so on. Now, what's quite troubling is that whenever these incidents arise and these challenges arise, we haven't been able to find, at any sort of really, in any concerted way, a solution to them. There are no resources, there are a real lack of people who are trained to deal with these issues, and really there are very few places for young people to turn. We want to put in place a system where we can talk about these issues without there being a taboo, first and foremost. We want young people to grow up in a safe and healthy environment where they can ventilate and talk about things in a healthy and productive way with people who they know they can trust and who understand what they're going through. We want people to, at a community level, to recognise these issues and also We want to leave the next generation a bank of resources so that they're not facing the troubles we face. Over the last months and years, people have told me about everything from abuse, physical, emotional, spousal, sexual abuse, through to serious mental health issues, anxiety, clinical depression, suicidal self-harm thoughts, to people who have alcohol and substance abuse issues and who are addicted, still to fund those addictions, and then once they are intoxicated, then vandalize property and so on. These are real issues. These are not sort of isolated incidents. They happen all the time. Growing up is a difficult time, and so we're working very hard with scholars, with parents, with madrasa teachers, and with youth workers to see how we can all come together to bring some light on this troubling issue.
Back in May 2016, in the Executive Council meeting of the World Federation in Mombasa, Brother Ali Gokul brought this paper, Social Vices. The examples, there were some horrific examples that were given by Brother Ali based on the data that he had got, whereby there was abuse in the community, such as normal abuse, sexual abuse, our youngsters and kids exposed to items that is not probably suitable at that age, and as a result a lot of horrific stories were coming out. And when Ali Gokul was telling us the stories, we all were really horrified by it, and we at one point we thought, no, this cannot happen in our community, or it is not happening. But then there was data in front of us, so we did have to believe it, and we said, yes, this is what it is. So Social Vices project is specifically out there to enable, educate people of our community, not only in the UK, not only in the West, but all over the world, that there are things, there are vices, challenges within our community, and we're not living in this utopian world where we have a protection against these things. Our kids are exposed, our youngsters are exposed. And are we equipped to deal with this? Are we enabled to see our stakeholders such as our alims, our madrasa teachers, who the kids really get affiliated with? And if they approach them, are they equipped to deal with it? And that is what we need to put out as an education first, and then a tool how to deal with it.
This is a slow-moving process. We're talking about generational changes, cultural changes, questions pertaining to identity. What we've seen though is that the taboo we encountered at the beginning, people saying things to us like, how dare you talk about these things aloud? These issues don't exist. From the beginning, then through the process of gathering data, anecdotes, and talking about it, to now arriving at a stage where there's pretty much universal consensus. Okay, there is a problem, let's talk about it, is really healthy. We're working with charities who specialise in working with young people, which is fantastic. We're in the middle of developing a resource, so a handbook on people who come into contact with young people on a regular basis. We've had workshops looking at things like, for example, abuse. We're shortly going to be preparing and hosting a workshop for alims, hopefully across Europe, so that resident alims, wherever they are, whenever they come into contact with young people, know how to listen, how to counsel, how to engage, and signpost where solutions can be found. And very specifically, there are many, many, many individual cases, a whole raft of things, from my teenager thinks she has depression, what do I do, to I think I'm about to commit suicide, can you help me, I'm on the brink, and everything in between. People who are going through, not even young people who are going through divorce or separation, all sorts of issues. And people now sort of are starting to understand that there are avenues where they can come forward and talk to people who will understand what they're going through and who can help them. And it's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and guidance, we're moving slowly in the right direction.
In today's time, when both genders are actively involved in education and in the workplace, we have found a challenge facing our community as other communities of our kind, that marriageable youth are expected to marry partners they hardly interact with on day-to-day life, yet are actively discouraged from getting married to people whom they do interact with. With this dilemma, the challenge that we see, or the outcome that we see, that we end up, especially in our Western communities today, that you have a lot of marriageable youth that either remain unmarried or in some scenarios have married not only outside the community but outside the faith. When we realized this challenge in Mombasa, the Exco in Mombasa in 2016, we presented a strategic paper on how to overcome this challenge. And there are three areas in which we would like to focus on. One is guiding our communities on the aspect of religious guidelines. Where is it, to what point can they encourage through organizing of seminars, intellectual gatherings, so that there is a natural setting in which marriageable youths meet each other, not specifically for marriage or for matchmaking, but in a way to get to know each other and hopefully resulting into marriage. And of course, the other two would be making this issue a prominent one from our members and strengthening the matchmaking structures within our community. Traditionally, the matchmaking structures have worked, but we increasingly see the traditional ways of matchmaking, especially in our Western communities, are not working very well. So we need to come up with more innovative ways to ensure, in the current setting, given the challenges that we have, we manage to overcome this situation.